Alright, so the more I talk about not making these, the more of the opposite I do. So I decided to kind of put it all down in words. Obviously I'm completely ass backwards, so let's start on this side of the page. Now, I'm talking about rotation, okay? So, question, if you can rotate an axle, why can't you use that, amplify it, and collect energy? Question, how does one use this simple principle to fabricate a functioning model? Now, the simple principle I'm trying to depict here is, again, the roll of tape, okay, with magnets. All the same polarity glued on the inside of the roll of tape. Okay, I don't care if it's packing tape or duct tape. And a ball bearing, you need a flat level surface, the magnet hot glued to it, okay? I forget which polarity, you can play with it. You have a 50-50 chance, okay, at this point. I don't want to be inaccurate with whatever I say. But if you were to hover, again, if this is on a flat, level, balanced tabletop, eventually the positioning of this with your magnets, the way that they glued them in those positionings, will cause this ball bearing to stand up and start to, like, spin, rotate. Okay, I don't know which way, clockwise, counterclockwise, I don't know. They'll spin. Now, this is the simple principle I'm talking about. This is kind of what I think. This is the George Green model. You can like look up George Green and the magnetic motor stuff. This is what I claim is the beginnings of the magnetic flywheel, okay? This is where it starts. Okay, this is why I don't need a motor or anything. I don't think I need a motor, but this is where the initial rotation happens. How do you collect this into an axle? How? Well, here's how I think. A static foundation must be established in order to perpetuate rotation in a geometrically symmetric configuration. I'm gonna, like just say, we'll start with something like this. A cube allows for the center of 6 faces and 8 vertices to be used as one pivot point for an axle. Alright? You see what I'm saying? Pivot points, guy, in the center of the faces, and you'd have one in the center of the vertices going down to a piece of constructs that is not here with a hole drilled in the middle, like right here, you know what I'm saying? Facing me with an axle at a 45-degree angle going up to a much smaller wheel, obviously. Because these wheels are rotating, you have only this much space. I don't know what the ratio is. Maybe it's pi. Okay. The central ring configuration allows for the placement of the second pivot point for an axle, okay? So the central ring configuration allows for the placement of a second pivot point for the axle, okay? In your X, Y, Z, and alpha and beta directions, let's say. The central ring configuration allows for preliminary rotation of the axle. A magnetic, what the hell? Oh my god, that's friggin' annoying, cat. You're a cat! Fuck. The central ring configuration allows for preliminary rotation of the axle once a static magnetic configuration has been established distance-wise. Meaning that getting this right, I don't know what the measurements are. That's all about experimentation, okay? You can line, like literally, if you were to create an XYZ ring configuration like this, with, again, your alpha and beta other rings that I don't have depicted, because all I have depicted are the 6 faces, not the vertices, with the wheels in this depiction. But if you're able to get this all lined up, with your pivot points, all like perfectly square, and actually be able to place a magnet and epoxy it to the end of the axle, where these little dots inside are all represented, are all like little magnets, okay, and all your little, oh my god, I'm gonna lose my shit, cat. And when that magnet is the right distance away and all the 14 axles, it'll start to induce rotation, just like here, because you're gonna have very small friction on like your ceramic bearings, let's say. And at the other end of, anyways, that's what I was gonna talk about. Okay. The central ring configuration allows for preliminary rotation of the axle once a static magnetic configuration has been established distance-wise. Man, sometimes cats, anyways. One end of the axle acts as the ball bearing in the simple principle example where a fixed circular bar magnet is fastened, okay? That. It's fixed, okay? When this moves, the axle moves. It turns. Okay? It's gonna turn. The other end of the axle can have a wheel built off it. Positioning and balance of its construction is paramount for optimum gain. Okay? So off this axle, you can build whatever the hell you want because you have the space for it. So you can make a big wheel guy. I'm sure if that rotates, the wheel will rotate as well at a very slow speed. Okay? Not usable at this point. The wheel is divided with a larger interior ring magnet configuration and a smaller exterior ring magnet configuration. Okay? All that means, the larger interior, meaning that this wheel here, the large wheel of clothes hanger, is going to have magnets on the inside walls going all the way around, 42 of them. Okay? And the exterior of the smaller one, meaning if there was a wire going around here, they would have them on this side, not this side. So you have two magnets facing each other. And like I said, like look, the wheel itself holding it, like the cross and the X, you know, those are recessed a bit so that something can be placed within the field. Ring magnets are used for the toroidal magnetic field properties, 42 interior, 8 exterior. Okay, so your ring magnets, you're going to have 42 on the inside, 8 on the exterior of the wheel. Okay, making your cross and your plus. Okay, creation is nothing but addition and multiplication. In between the magnetic fields in the two-dimensional plane, a ring of solenoids can be positioned to induce gain. Let's just say that's not an answer. Let's say it's a hypothesis. I would like to experiment with 36 solenoids wound 400 times each, because 36 times 400 is 14,400, but because it's 36 solenoids all in a ring, it's like the trapped 144,000 from your Bible. Anyway. In between the 36 solenoid sensors / probes can be placed female ends on the wheel itself and male ends on the box itself. Now this is what that means, okay? That's where the green stuff comes in, your shield here. All this depicts here is a one-dimensional line. Now you have to think of a whole bunch of fingers, of one-dimensional lines going all the way around, 36 of them. 9, 9, 9, and 9. Now, as you can see that they are on 4 pins, let's say. Now imagine my box is a little bit longer. This part of the box is a little bit longer, and these were longer. Imagine they were like, you were able to slide this green thing in and out of the field of the magnets on the wheel itself. Okay? If you're able to slide those in or out, you can control whether or not you're turning on the gain or not. By the gain, I mean you're going to have coiled copper. Now the relationship between magnets and magnetism and copper is documented. Okay, drop a magnet down a copper pipe, it goes slow because there is the eddy effect, I believe. And there's a relationship where I believe if the solenoids are static, okay, and every quadrant is broken into like 9, you're gonna have 9 lines, one-dimensional lines going. You have a sinusoidal wave where you can have like a more than a period, like you can go more than 2 pi. I think you need 5 pi over 2. And you can position, okay, on the box itself, on the construction of the box itself, part of the solenoid construction, fixed in between the solenoids, you can position male ends of the sensor or the probe with a wire coming off it. That's why it's male, okay? Static, on the box. And the other female ends you can put right here, and right here, and right here, wherever the hell you need to put them to line up with the sensors, maybe in a W formation or an M formation, okay, in the quadrant. And on your wheel. So every time it spins, it registers a tick. Okay? And therefore, blah, 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 but stuff I don't know too much about, you can collect 3-phase energy. You know, I believe. But you're not going to get power. You're going to get what I believe is current. Okay? You're not going to get voltage, you're going to get current. Voltage comes from somewhere else. Hypothesis. Current generation is achieved via RPMs of the wheel as it gains momentum, since slow and steady wins the race. Now this means that since this guy's not going anywhere, okay, it doesn't matter how fast this axle is spinning, that's not going anywhere, and that's going to be acted upon by the static magnets inside of the ring system in here. Okay, same for every axle. Doesn't matter how fast it's going to be acted on. Slow and steady wins the race. And I think that it'll achieve gain via the relationship between the toroidal field from... See, that's a bar magnet. That'll look like a battery, like a hockey puck guy. And then the other ones are going to be rings. Okay? Wheel, axle, in heaven. I don't want to use that word because you guys are all weird. But anyways. Voltage generation is achieved by MC Escher type configuration of bar magnets, coils, insulators, and antenna, which I need to experiment on because I've seen videos, but you know, I don't know if that's real and I need to do it myself. Okay, but that's where I think you get voltage from, by magnetism and just more materials and understanding about stuff. Hypothesis: equilibrium on all 6 faces and 8 vertices is needed in order to mimic the Earth and time as derived by the Genesis 1 matrix of creation. Okay, because on this, I see why we have 364 days. I see we have 91 days in a season. I understand that we should be following a 13-month, 28-day lunar cycle. I understand why we have 60 seconds, 60 minutes, 24 hours split into 2 12s. It's all symbolistic or symbolized by this math, and it's all kind of buried in the nooks and crannies of my videos of old, and I would have to derive it all over again and do all that stuff to find it again, and then really it's just me talking again when you can watch a video. Now, something I'm not sure about. Unsure if one single axle setup will be able to generate enough RPMs to produce usable current without an alien accelerant or motor. Okay, I don't know if I can... Like, why go through all the effort to set this up if you're only going to make one wheel? Okay, I don't know if you have just that one ring with those magnets there, your 32 magnets in that one ring to power that axle, to power this wheel, to put your solenoids in to make it work. Because you can maybe make a 1-home model, you can make a 2-home model, you can make a 4-home model, you can make a 14-home model, you can make a... However you decide to construct this using, God knows, like silicon, and like you can probably make this as... I don't know how small, like, there must be a finite limit of how small you can make this to actually make it feasible to, like, you know, it looks like the size that can fit in like the engine of a car, you know? Why would you stay on the road if you could have infinite energy, guy? Very sure. Construction of the 8 vertices will be far more difficult than the larger 6 faces, okay? Like, you know, making, that's why I keep saying, I don't know if one of these is going to work. I don't know if it has to be totally the 88 fixed rotating constellations plus the other luminaries of creation are needed, magnet-wise, okay, to create enough current for this to generate. I don't know if I have to have perfect equilibrium to create the heart field. I think I do, because I think it is like a, you have to have your 2 L's, your Lex Luthor, to create the heart, but you need from all your different ways, you know? So, maybe in the end, that's like equilibrium is what's needed to create that black hole of whatever the hell's going on magnet-wise if this was running in complete like symmetry. Now imagine this. Imagine you were able to build a ferrocell box to encase this in and then illuminate it. Imagine what you'd see. Okay? That excites me. I would love to see if I'm actually able to see a heart field of magnetism. That would just seal the deal, blow my mind. Okay? So, without going into, like, this is what I need to build. It's not going to be easy, okay? You got to make, like, a whole, like, you make 6 wheels all the same like this. You got to make 8 wheels all the same like this, but way smaller, which needs to be not only secured on just an XYZ plane, but these are going to have to be on 45s, okay? And there's not a lot of straight edges here. Everything's curves and stuff. The only straight edges are the box you enclose it in. It's the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark of the Covenant is a rectangle because I bet you need a current source and a voltage source and a voltage source all working together to hopefully power 14 homes with cellular energy. Okay? Now, you can agree or disagree with how I've arrived at my conclusions and how I view God and how I view life and how I view Gematria and how I do what I do and why I say what I say and why I think everything's important. It just matters if you speak and operate in truth. Okay? Like, it bewilders me just the sheer amount of ignorance and I don't know. People must have a goddamn opinion by now. I'm ready to hear it. Like, I'm not gonna, like, I do just It's just a point of view guy. Not all of you are female. Cheers!